Hello, and welcome to episode 3 of Let's Talk About It. I'm your host, the DiDi DiDi Skky. So excited to have you all with us tonight. Join on in, tell a friend, call your family. Tonight's topic is one that you do not want to miss. We have all of these amazing guests, very needed topics of discussion, whether it's entertainment, whether it's personal life, health. Tonight, we're talking about something that is extremely important, addressing our mental health. That's right, addressing the stigma of mental health, and particularly in the Black community. And so I am so excited to talk about my mental health, and I hope that you will join in and also share some of your experiences, whether it's with you personally, with your family, with friends. We want to have a topic of discussion that we all have input, and this is very much one that we can definitely discuss for some time. And why? Because it's a topic that we typically don't discuss. It's one that we don't talk about. And I think over the past decade or so, we are starting to do a better job at having those very hard conversations. So we're excited about tonight's show, but I would be absolutely remiss, and I couldn't do a show if I did not have my co-host, my sidekick. I call him the voice of God, the man behind the meme. He's going to come in and be extremely nosy, but give it up anyway for Major.
That's the introduction you have from me. Of all the introductions, DiDi, that's the introduction. So let's just do this. Since you already know what's getting ready to happen, let's just go ahead and get this out the way. DiDi, where in the hell are you at, man? This is not Tulum. This definitely isn't your cottage that I'm used to seeing. Where are you, man? Come on, man. This is not Tulum.
I'm in a place, okay?
In a place. Mm-hmm. My God, DiDi, you are screwing up my mental health. I'm gonna tell you that now up front.
Major, you are so crazy. Listen, I definitely want everyone to join in. If you're watching us right now on Facebook, if you're watching on my Instagram Live page, which we're excited to be there on Instagram Live, or if you're streaming us on YouTube, this conversation needs to be had, and we want all of you to get involved, right? So call your friends, call your family, call your boo. Right. Tell everybody they need to tune in right now. And if you're in with us, if you're watching, give us a shout out. Let us know you're here. Shouts out to Brittany.
Thank you for joining.
Hey, Brittany. What's up? What's up?
We got our day one in. We got some day ones in here. See, Rachel.
Shouts out to Rachel. That's right. Rachel is in the building. Yes. Levi Q. That's right. So excited to have you here with us. Again, a very, very important topic. But Major, what have you been up to? You know, I gotta find out what's going on with you behind the scenes, because you get to kind of move around in the world without anyone even knowing who you are.
That's the goal, DiDi. I want to be able to go get milk at the end of the shift. But yeah, I'm just spending my summer in film school, man. I am in film school right now. And I actually almost chopped my hand off yesterday. Yeah, you're dead serious. We were on set and we were supposed to be wearing leather gloves, right? And so I had leather gloves, and I was like, okay, but I'm used to putting up light stands and stuff like that. But these are light stands that I had never seen before. They were huge. They were huge. And they were heavy, DiDi. It humbled me. And so one of them, when I opened it up, it almost took my finger off.
What?
Yeah, right. And do you know
did you have on the gloves, or did you not have on the gloves when the incident happened?
The gloves were present, but the gloves, I wasn't wearing the gloves. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I learned a lesson that day. I learned why you definitely should follow instructions. Follow instructions. Yeah, so yeah. That's pretty much what I've been up to. I'm just trying to get this education, DiDi, so that we can take this podcast national. What have you been up to?
Listen. It's important. We got to go worldwide. We have to be worldwide. Shouts out to Donna in the building. We also have Bria with us. Teresa. Hey, Teresa, what's going on? What have I been up to? Well, I returned from Tulum safely.
Doesn't seem
After
like it. Doesn't seem like it. Doesn't
after
seem like it.
after swimming with the dolphins and stingrays.
Yeah, I know you did.
I did that. Yeah, and I had a chance to actually hold on to the dolphin for him to take off with me. So that was
Oh
fun.
no. Oh no. So you must have been in like one of them itty bitty like tiny pools like that don't. I'm not for real. Like, do they do that in the ocean or you do that in like an enclosed safety pool? Because I thought that when you take off with the dolphins,
pool, it has to be deep enough for the it has to be deep enough for the animals.
whose idea was that? Come on, man. I'm gonna tell you what I'm not doing on vacation. I'm gonna tell you what I'm not gonna do. I'm not going nowhere with no dolphin. I'm sorry. I done heard some horrible stories about dolphins, yo.
No,
I
they
have.
were
I'm so
actually
serious.
pretty friendly, and they're trained. They are trained. So, but that was my first time doing that, and then also with the stingrays. So that was fun. It was hot as hell.
Was it?
It
That
was
hair looking good. That's the same hair. Because it's still looking like yeah, you done brought that hair back intact. You done brought that hair back intact from Tulum, huh?
Oh my gosh! You know
That's
what?
like you wasn't too deep in the water.
I had to swim. I had to go in and everything.
So,
Let me tell you. Let me tell you what happened to me, Major. Let me tell you what happened to me. So, okay, the park that we went to, the place that we went to was huge. First of all, we were in Mexico, so it was so hot. Okay, my family and my friends will tell you who know me and love me dearly. When they say things that DiDi don't do, one, sun, heat at all. I have never been that girl. I lived not even 10 minutes from the beach and never went except for at night. I don't, that's not my ministry. It's not my thing. I don't like being hot. And then I have, with me having my hyperthyroidism, that also affects my ability to take in heat, and I can't, right? It is just not good for me.
Oh man.
So yeah, so I'm dying. I'm literally walking around like this is not, I see the monkeys over there, but I'm about to die and pass out. But so then we get into the encounter, encasement with the stingrays. And as soon as I get in, my body like cools off. But then when we had to get actually into the water, we were in the water, but once we had to get into the actual, to go swimming with them into the deep part, go swimming with them, I couldn't move. I caught cramps in my legs and I could not do anything. Yeah. So I was out there with my life jacket on about to drown.
So the stingrays, they don't bite? I thought they sting. Like that's why they call them stingrays. I thought they were dangerous.
Do, but when they are trained, they take out the stinger. They remove the stinger. However, the stinger does grow back. It can grow back before they actually get to it to remove it again. So they tell you to be careful, where you're walking and things like that. So it was definitely an experience. I love that experience. Wouldn't say that I would do it again. I would do it with the dolphins. I didn't mind the dolphins. But it was all good. It was all good. It was fun. What I wanted to also tell you, speaking of you in film school and where you are, did you share with everyone where you were? Or are you worried about stalkers? Well, you ain't worried about no stalkers.
They don't know what I look like. I ain't worried about it. But they come up here if they want to, DiDi. I know who I can sick on them. You already told me if somebody mess with me to call you. So I'm going to take you up on your word. Yeah, man. I'm not fighting my own battles.
I was over at the Trilith having lunch, and when was that? Monday? What day is it? Monday or Tuesday? Monday.
I was there Tuesday. I was down there Tuesday.
Monday.
Okay.
And we're sitting in the restaurant, and guess who comes in? Actor Kevin Bacon.
Yo, in the Studio Cafe?
From Footloose.
Which studio were you in? A Studio Cafe? Is that
no? I was having lunch. The Trilith where people live, work, and play. The restaurant area.
Yeah, yes, Studio Cafe. I'm thinking you're talking about the Studio Cafe.
We went to we were at the Mexican restaurant. Is it CT?
Oh no, they don't let us back there. They don't let us back there. We're just lowly film students, man. So you've seen some stuff that I haven't seen.
You talk about let you back there. It's a little play area, so you can go back there freely.
I don't know.
You are on one tonight. Lord have mercy.
Man.
Who else is with us tonight, y'all? Who else is here? Shouts out again. A wonderful, wonderful show we have planned for you tonight. We are going to discuss addressing the stigma of mental health, healing, help, and hope, because there is absolutely hope, and there are so many tools and resources for you to get healed and have the help that you may need. So we're going to hop on into this exclusive interview. Before we do, tonight's show is brought to you by Pop Shots ATL.
Well, that's probably not the right one at all, DiDi. Now, sometimes I make mistakes, which is why I'm in film school, DiDi. This is the correct button.
Pop Shots ATL is an amazing 360 photo booth and event photography company that knows how to capture memories like nobody else. Their 360 photo booths are sleek and totally customizable with props and backdrops that'll have your guests flexing for the cameras. And check this out, y'all. They have a social media sharing feature that lets everyone show off their pictures and keep those memories alive long after the party is over. Pop Shots ATL takes exceptional care of their customers and pays attention to every little detail. So if you're looking to add some serious fun and unforgettable vibes to your event, Pop Shots ATL is the perfect choice. For more information, visit popshotsatl.com. That's POPSHOTSATL.com.
That's right. Be sure to check out Pop Shots ATL to capture all of your highlights and special moments. The summer is coming around, so you don't want to miss anything. Check out Pop Shots ATL. And also be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Very, very, very important. We want you to subscribe, particularly to our YouTube channel, so that you don't miss anything. Not an episode, not any of our giveaways, not any of our special highlights. Be sure to subscribe. All right. Woo. Okay. So tonight's episode is all about our mental health. And I actually read this quote: mental health is not a destination, but a process. It's about how you drive, not where you're going. Mental health is just as important as your physical health. Your mental health is not a weakness, it's a strength. So May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I could not let the month go without us addressing this important topic, and that is, of course, our mental health. So tonight, our guest is a licensed professional counselor, and he is the CEO and director of Infinite Life Counseling. Please welcome Ernest Benson. Hi, Ernest. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. How are you, DiDi?
I'm wonderful. I am wonderful. So glad to have you on the show. Thank you for, stepping in and stepping up and to have this conversation. When you and I spoke, and of course, I vetted your credentials, because that is something that I do as a journalist, making sure that we speak, especially for topics as important as this, that we have vital information and correct information to share with our audience. And so, one of the things that we talked about was the importance of having this meaningful yet candid conversation about our mental health and the issues and the impact of mental health kind of in our community. So, before we actually get started, I would like for our guests to know who you are and know that they are in really good hands. Aside from me telling them that you are a, life counselor, give them some of your background.
Okay. My name is Ernest Benson. I have been in the field of mental health, social services for probably 25 years. I have worked in hospitals for kids, hospitals for adults. I've done recovery programs, managed group homes, being in and out of homes with probation kids and working on family dynamics. I've been licensed for probably 6 years. So I work with adults, kids, and families. So I've kind of covered the whole gamut within that time frame.
Good stuff. So let's hop right on into this dialogue. And again, audience, please ask questions, be engaged, whatever. There's never I'm going to say a dumb question. There is no such thing. So don't think in your mind that I would love to ask this, but it may sound crazy or it may sound dumb or something like that. That does not exist. A question unanswered is, what gives us lack. Our people perish for lack of knowledge. So,
Exactly.
Ernest, what are some common misconceptions about mental health that contribute to the stigma, particularly in the Black community?
There are quite a few things that contribute to it. One thing that people have to understand, mental health is for everybody. Everybody deals with mental health and having positive mental health. Mental illness is something totally different. So when you talk about mental health, talking about how do you manage yourself, how do you manage your finances, how you raise your kids, going to work, so your work life, home life, financial life, spirituality, and how are you capable and able to deal with those things and not get overwhelmed? Because it happens to everybody, because we all have situations, we all have true life, and sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's not. That's mental health. When you talk about mental illness, then you're talking about bipolar disorder, you're talking about depression that has extended itself in 2 months, 2 years, or longevity, a long period of time. You're also talking about schizophrenia, things like that. So you're talking about two different things. Everybody has mental health, but mental illness is not, everybody doesn't have mental illness. And that's something different, and that's more specific.
Oh, thank you so much for providing the definitions between the two. Now, can someone have, for lack of caring for your mental health, can you develop a mental illness?
You can, like I said, depression, if undiagnosed, if not dealt with properly, it can become prolonged and it can lead to actual some medical issues as well. Because sometimes not taking care of your mental health, it can turn into a physical condition. So that's why your mental health can lead to illness of different types. Even we talk about diabetes. A lot of times we can be an emotional eater. So because we eat emotionally, then we may be eating the wrong things, and then we can develop diabetes. Then once we get diabetes, then it becomes stressful, then you get anxious, and then you may eat more. If you don't correct your eating habits, then you're going to have other things as well. So your mental health is just as important, because if you take care of your mental health, sometimes we can alleviate the problem of physical illness, if that makes sense.
It does, and it makes a lot of sense. And I'm going to make sure that I incorporate the questions that we have from the audience. Dr. Tiffany says this is a great topic. As a person who lives with acute ADHD, anxiety, and insomnia, I have conversations with people about the importance of preserving my peace.
Okay. Preserving your peace is good. It's true. And being able to recognize when you have to dial back and kind of spend some time alone and spend some time by yourself. Being intentional in how you move. But anxiety as a whole is just worrying about things, or worrying about the future. So with that, I just really emphasize, like, if we can just live in today, live in right now, live in the moment, try to make decisions and process information up front, so it doesn't linger on and cause more of lasting effect and worry. There are some people that worry more than others, and those worries and trying to figure things out, which is normal for everybody, right? So that's our regular. But because we want to do so many things and maybe trying to cram everything into today, and then worried about how do we get things done tomorrow, it produces anxiety, it produces worry. So it's good to preserve your peace, but I think it's more important to at least acknowledge exactly how you feel right now. When can I turn things off? When do I need to dial back? Sometimes you need to turn your phone off, stop scrolling. Social media, so although we may be stressed out on one side, then we'll go to social media, then we start scrolling, then we wasted 2 hours and we still haven't been productive.
Right.
So
Right.
there are certain things that you have to look at your life and try to see, how do I create balance for myself? How do I create a situation where I am optimally performing in life and work?
I love that. Though you're, and I'm sitting here like, where is my pen? Because you're giving so many nuggets and takeaways. So I hope that our Sky team out there is engaging with this conversation and taking down these important notes. The good thing is Dr. Tiffany says that she has learned those skills and she hasn't had a panic attack in 2 years. And I think, you said something that was really, really key. Knowing the act of knowing that you need to dial back, because I think that's I know for me, I didn't know. I kind of grew up worrying. I was always worried about how I was going to perform or what, and that was just something that was in me, to do, just thinking like, I'm how am I going to perform? Am I going to do well in school? I would, and that's probably why I'm in media now. I literally would write out a whole, press release or script before the event even happened. I would literally say, this is going to happen. Like I would predict things in my life and that this is how things were going to happen, until I, started to realize that I needed to, like you said, dial back on a lot of things, being so available for others to, dump some of their
absorb your energy.
Oh, talk about that. Talk about others, how you observe. Am I saying that right? Absorb. Major, don't you say anything. Yes. How other people's energy, are impact us as well. And so when we do have the decision to dial back or step away, it's not for lack of love, rather it's your friends or your family. It's just that you do it, you're putting the work in for yourself. So talk about absorbing some energy from other people.
So I'm with my clients, I'm really big on trying to help them set healthy boundaries. Your boundaries can be too open, like you could be too porous, like trying to do everything for everybody, people pleasing, and they kind of like sucks your energy, because it depends on how you are. Some people, it's hard to say no because you don't want to disappoint people, right? Yeah, so you have to be able to recognize that, and you have to be aware. So like when you talk about emotional intelligence, you're talking about self-awareness and self-regulation. You have to be able to be aware of how you're feeling and how those things impact you on a negative, in a positive and a negative way. When you feel like it's impacting you in a negative way, that's when you have to kind of put some boundaries up and do some things that help you in terms of coping strategies. Like you said, go to the beach, swim with the dolphins, relax. Take a vacation. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you really have to just go do something for you. Now I'm gonna address another thing, because you did say something regarding you always worry, right? So let me be clear, right? There are two types of anxiety, because anxiety within itself, just on a natural basis of what it is, you have a positive anxiety and then you have negative anxiety. Positive anxiety is what you just said. Like you would write notes, you would write your goals, you would set things up because it gave you a plan. It gave you something that you were going to do.
Right.
So, and I use the sports analogy. Like, so I played football, ran track. So before the kickoff, when you get out there, then you get butterflies, right?
Right.
Butterflies is anxiety as well.
Right.
But
Mm-hmm.
once the gun goes off, once you start playing, you stop thinking, you start worrying about it, you start working and doing what you naturally do. You run down the field, you hit somebody, then it's over, then now we playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's also anxiety. So that's positive anxiety.
Right.
But when it gets to the point where it's overcoming you and you can't stop worrying, you can't stop thinking, you can't sleep, and that's when your anxiety has grown to a certain level. I'm gonna say this because Dr. Deloach, she said something about panic attacks.
Mm-hmm.
So we talk about having anxiety and putting things off so long to where you're sitting in your car, you're sitting at home, and your anxiety takes over to where you may feel like you're having a heart attack, you're hyperventilating,
Right.
you can't breathe, you can't function.
Mm-hmm.
That's extreme. That's when you need to go get help. That's when you need to go talk to somebody. A mental health professional, like, how do I deal with this? And how can I put some coping strategies in place? How can I put some things in place in my life to remove some of this stress and remove some of this anxiety?
Right. Major asked the question, which I think is key, about the taboo. Why is mental health so taboo in the Black community? Because, and I think that there has been definitely an influx of the conversation now behind mental health,
Right.
and culturally for us, because growing up, that was one thing we were taught, to be strong. I mean, I could be a little kid, be strong, stop crying. You could have like a tragic death or something. People like, be strong, don't cry.
Right. Keep talking about it. Keep saying, okay, keep going.
Don't go anything.
What
get away, get over it. And that's
what
kind
happens
of
in the house stays in the house, right?
what happens in the house.
Right.
Exactly.
So those are the things that creates the taboo, and let me be clear also. Like, you also have to understand from its origination with black culture, like, there were not enough Black therapists, there were not enough Black psychologists that could serve us. So half of it was a distrust, because I'm from the South, so I may be, speaking from a Southern perspective, but being from the South, it's not like I can really just go to the white psychiatrist or the white therapist and feel as though they're going to give me what I need for me, because I don't even know if they understand my plight or understand my struggles.
Right.
So in this day and age, there are enough BIPOC psychologists, there are enough BIPOC, therapists, there are enough of us to provide the services that we need. COVID opened everything up for everybody. I think, to me, COVID itself just produced fear and anxiety in everybody. Has there ever been a time that you live in everybody stay at home, nobody go nowhere across the whole world?
Right.
So how do you deal with that? You scared to breathe. You don't know how to breathe. If I go outside, can I breathe?
Right. You're quarantined. And at the same time, though, life is still lifing. So when the world shut down, when the country and everything shut down, life didn't stop lifing.
Didn't stop at all. Your bills didn't stop. They didn't give you a break on bills.
Bills didn't stop. Loved ones were passing away. So anxiety and fear and everything went through the roof.
Wives and husbands were spending more time with each other because they had to, because they couldn't go anywhere. It made a lot of people realize
ended.
It was divorce. Like, I don't even know I like this person no more. Like,
right.
Ooh, I gotta be with you all day. Like,
every day, all day.
All the kids at the house, everybody's home. Like, whoa.
No.
When is gonna end? I need to go back to work.
Right.
Something gotta change. So it produced fear and anxiety for everybody, and good or bad, it was what it was.
Right.
But I think it made everybody definitely become more aware of themselves and what they're really feeling. There's still a level of people, there's still a level of Black people that feel like I'm not gonna go talk to anybody about my problems. Like, they got their own problems. Like, why am I talking about their problems? But when we talk about, it makes you stronger, not weak, to actually talk about somebody, to ask for help. Because myself and most of the clinicians that I know, like we've gone to school, we've practiced, we've learned. I am a Black man. I am married. I have kids. I know all of that dynamic. I know the struggle in that.
Right.
So when I speak from a place of truth. And I also know this too. You know us. You know Black people, right? So you really only got one shot. When they show up, you got to treat them right, and you got
That's it.
you got to make sure that they're good, because they may not come back to a therapist based on what their experience with me.
Exactly.
So I try to be very open. I try to make sure I give people a safe place to be vulnerable, to share. It's non-judgmental. And I'm here for you, to help you in whatever you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish. And I have the tools to do it. So that's the key. I have the tools to do it.
Right. I'm going to ask this question, then I'm going to come back to a question that I have in regards to that from Developmental Reflections. What are some of the symptoms of anxiety and depression, and how may it show up in relationships?
Well, let's talk about the symptoms first. Anxiety may be insomnia, not being able to sleep, not being able to stop your brain, or ruminating on thoughts, or obsessive thought, or obsessive thinking. When you talk about depression, you're talking about lack of motivation, not being able to function in the way that you were normally. Isolation, staying in your room or staying in the house, not opening the door, not opening your windows. Now, maybe not even eating. It just really depends on how severe it becomes. I think a lot of times, especially with Black people, we're so used to just continuing to go and keep going, because sometimes we don't even want to label or say that I'm depressed, because we feel like if we say it, then it's going to create more problems. So that's one of the things that you have to be aware of. Just being honest and recognizing like what's really going on, because sometimes you just don't feel like your normal self. Like I just don't feel like me. And you need to take note of that. And be honest with yourself.
And how does that show up in relationships?
That can show up in a variety of ways. If one person is depressed, or if they both depressed, like it can really show up because they could not talk to each other. Depending on how long they've been married, it could show up as infidelity, alcoholism, drinking too much. Arguing could be a sign that it's there. But the other problem is, once you get to the point where you're not even arguing, that you're not even discussing anything, you're just totally disconnected. That's a different problem.
Right.
Yeah, that's a different problem. And that's one of the things that you have to definitely be aware of. And sometimes, man, because we just designed to keep going, and you just don't want to give up, or you feel like, we've been here 30 years, like, we might as well just keep going. But that's a decision everybody has to stand up and make for themselves. What is wrong with the relationship? What am I not getting in a relationship? And I think that's one of the questions and one of the conversations that may be hard to have, but it's necessary. Even in infidelity, like a lot of times it comes from things that they might not be receiving, and they may not be expressing to their partner, like, this is what I need. Be very specific. Like, some of these things are I need, but some of these things I truly need, and they're non-negotiable. And if you're willing to change or give them what they need, then it can make for a better relationship. And open conversation really helps that. And sometimes you need a mediator. Sometimes couples come to me because they can't have the conversations. So me being a neutral party, and then asking questions and giving homework so they can both go and be reflective, and then come back, and then we can talk about it.
Right. Shouts out to Arlene in the building. Eric is here with us. Apostle Calvin Bracely is here. Shouts out to everyone who is tuned in. Again, a conversation that needs to be had. So share this with your friends, your family. Tell them to log on in. Is mental health inherited? Is it is it something that can be passed on from generation to generation?
So that goes back to the first. Mental health is everybody has mental illness. There are some variations of mental illness that are genetic. There are certain things that you can be predisposed to, just like a parent that's doing drugs, then they can predispose their kids to their nervous system would just be out of control. Bipolar disorder, there are certain aspects of it that, because if a parent has it, then you could be predisposed to it. That doesn't necessarily mean you have it, but you can't possibly be predisposed to it. So there are some things that are genetically passed down, but it's not, everything is not. And mental health is just how people handle situations. I think mental health is actually more learned a lot of times. It's like, as children, we learn how to function and how to move based on what we see our parents do through observation. So if our parents sometimes handle situations or became chaotic and didn't handle situations, then you might not have learned how to deal with things face to face and make decisions and be able to sit down and rationalize and set goals and things like that. So that's being able to manage mental health.
Let's talk about childhood traumas.
Okay.
And how not addressing childhood traumas affect adulthood or affect us.
Yeah. The child that became an adult.
Right.
The child that became
great. The child who became an adult, because they're still, even though they're an adult in their 40s, 50s, 60s, they're still living within that childhood trauma. Talk about that.
Yeah. So let's say this. A lot of times with trauma, your development stops at the age where the trauma happens. And it depends on how significant the trauma is.
Yes.
So if you experience something major and you 10, 12 years old, you're able to compartmentalize, because the brain is amazing, first of all, because it will compartmentalize and put stuff in the back of your mind. It'll allow you to continue to move and continue to grow and continue to function. But when something else happened that traumatized you, that very other thing that traumatized you comes back to the forefront of your mind. So that's when you have like the reoccurring trauma, because you can feel it, you can smell it, you be right back in that situation. You become that little kid again. So a lot of things happen from traumatic experiences. A lot of times we can become like that inner child within us is still there, even though we may be 45, 55. If you've been told all your life like you're not worth nothing, like you ain't shit, you know what I'm saying? Like you just like your daddy, he ain't shit, you ain't gonna be shit. You know what I'm saying? So at some point you may start believing that. Even though they say it, you can, as a child, you can put it off or ignore it for so long. But if you hear it every day for 3 years, at some point you're gonna go wrong. Something's gonna happen. You're not gonna do good on the test. You may fail it. You may not make the football team. You know what I'm saying? In your mind, you go back and say, damn, man, shit, I ain't gonna never be nothing. You know what I'm saying? So that may lead to getting fired from your job when you're 35 because you did something wrong. Then you go back to like, damn, I ain't nothing. My mama told me I was nothing. I ain't nothing. So that's how it can come. Your childhood can affect your adulthood. And that's just one small example. You know what I'm saying? Like there are a lot of different examples. You know, you talking about people that suffer from childhood abuse,
abandonment.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so if you break up in a relationship, then you don't care about me either. You left me too. You know, so it's rejection. So you that's when you go back to the energy you're talking about. So now you people pleasing because you want to make sure they don't leave you. Not that they don't love you, just they don't leave you. If you put up with my chaos, then you love me.
Wow. You wait a minute. I have to repeat what developmental reflections. I'm not sure. I can only go by the title that's on your profile. He says, "I like this guy. He knows what he's talking about."
Hey, I like it. I do.
You are dripping. You are dripping, man. I mean, yes, absolutely, absolutely. And then does that also show up in your fears in life as well? I lost my brother was murdered when I was 14. He was off away in college at Bethune-Cookman College University. And so as a 13, 14-year-old, I started to think that when you go away, you don't come back. I had a huge fear. I mean, it rocked me to my core growing up. I just never recognized it, didn't understand what it was, what that meant, how I was feeling like that, why I didn't want, family members to go anywhere without me.
Yeah.
I just, and so when I went away to college, it was the hardest thing for me because I was so fearful of going away and losing someone. And so how does that, eventually I knew that along with some other things that I dealt with in my life, that I still was carrying that hurt and that pain and that loss from being a 14-year-old.
A 14-year-old.
Right.
And it's interesting you say that because fear can become how we operate. Like you're either operating out of fear or you're operating out of love. Mm-hmm. Fear kind of stagnates you in terms of growing because you are afraid. And you don't, like you said, you never told your friends, you never knew why you were afraid to let people go. But now you're in college, you're wondering if something's gonna happen and I'm not gonna be able to go back. Mm-hmm. So that continues to happen throughout your life in different areas. Like it may limit you from doing certain things that you may be even qualified or very good at doing. Mm-hmm. But your fear of the unknown or fear that I may be successful or, like you said, I may die doing this, Mm-hmm. So it limits how you move.
Right.
Right. One of the things that I tell my clients a lot of times, I don't really know. They call you and they want therapy and I'm just open with them. I don't know if this was really what you were looking for, because I am going to take you back to childhood. We're going to talk about childhood. We're going to talk about how you grew up. We're going to talk about some of the things that you faced or that were traumatic for you. And then how were you able to move forward? And are you okay? How do you deal with certain things now? Are you aware of your emotions? Mm-hmm. And I'm just being honest. I knew about emotions, but I wasn't really aware of my emotions. So I went back to school and started learning on this level. Mm-hmm. It made me look at myself in a whole different way and be honest with myself. And that's why I just try to educate people in that same vein, because we need to know.
Yes. Yeah. So good. And so good.
I try not to take over, but
Oh, no. Go ahead.
We're the products of slaves. We're our third generation out of slavery. So we grew up with post-traumatic stress disorder. We grew up with our parents and our grandparents having fear of certain things that why they may have beat us, because it was out of love or care or concern, but they really didn't know how to parent in a different way, out of love. So you have to recognize, a lot of the things that we may have dealt with were maybe our parents' trauma or our grandparents' trauma, their fears,
Yes.
Yes. And that's what we are as a people.
Absolutely. Keisha Lee says, how do you deal with a critical partner that states you're so overwhelmed instead of helping you?
To me, that's a conversation. If you look at me, you know that I'm overwhelmed. You know that I need help. Why don't you help me do this? Or be specific in what you need them to help you with. Mm-hmm. Communication is key. Sometimes we have marriage and they have one or both person may have gender roles in their mind. Mm-hmm. And they expect you to do things because you're the woman, or you expect them to do things because they're the man. So those are conversations that need to be had, and we can identify a happy medium per se.
Right.
You know, and how do you feel standing up to that person when they say those things? You know, do you say anything, or do you just kind of take it and just kind of get frustrated and angry about it?
Right.
You know, and that's what the first question you asked me, like, how do you get to a point where there's a disconnect? You know, because you get to the point where you stop not want to talk about it, and then you just let it go and just let it continue to fester. You know,
Which isn't good.
which is not good, and that's not good for anybody, whether it's
Yeah,
marriage or
because it comes
friends.
out in other ways. It comes out in anger as
Resentment.
well, resentment, aggressiveness, abuse sometimes.
or total ignoring people. You numb and you disconnect. Like in your mind, you might not even be in a relationship. Like, you know, you just do what you got to do. Yeah, while you're there, while they're around.
Wow, and that's just not.
It's not healthy.
It's not. It's so not healthy. It's not healthy. So how do you recommend to a family or a friend or a loved one when you can kind of see from the outside that there's something wrong, and you try to help them and support them? How do you suggest them really getting help? And then if they don't, like, how do you support someone who really needs the help but then they refuse it?
Yeah, it makes sense, but I laugh because it's kind of hard for me. One, I can't want to help you better than you want help. First of all, right. And as I'm a therapist, right, so a lot of times people, they want to talk, but they really don't want to talk about everything. So I suggest, and if I see certain things, I just suggest, like, listen, maybe you should try to get a therapist, and I can refer you to someone. If it's a friend, I'm gonna refer them to somebody. Like, have you ever had therapy? Like, have you guys ever thought about having therapy?
Right.
You know, and then I'm gonna refer them to somebody. Yeah, therapy with your friends just don't work. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It just don't work. You know, family, you know, because they may always think you're trying to judge them or look at them from a clinical perspective when you're not. You just have a regular conversation. Like, sometimes how you doing just mean how you doing.
Right. Right. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
So that's something that I've learned since I've been licensed. So it just depends on who it is and what the situation is. But I'm always giving resources, you know, websites or different things that people may need. But I really wait for them to ask me, if that makes sense.
Right, right. And especially if you experience someone who, you know, has experienced the depression, you know, you actually are seeing their cycle. They're going through, they're crying all the time from being so depressed. They're always crying. And then they're using substances or doing something that, you know, or being angry all the time.
Right.
And if you try to offer help or suggest help, or even some, you know, tools or resources, because I know for me, implementing meditation daily has helped me through some very difficult times in my life, particularly during COVID. I was going through a very traumatic divorce at the same time in the middle of COVID. And so I had to really, you know, get myself back together. And for me, that meant because I am the friend, the family member. I'm the one that people go to, you know, and I love that. You know, because I'm a secret squirrel. I ain't gonna tell you business, but no, and that's good. But I always felt like you know, okay, maybe I'm taking on too much, and then maybe I'm trying to help or offer resources because I'm going to give you my last, I'm going to give you like, I'm going to overextend myself. And then I had to get to a point in my life where I had to say, like you said, I had to disconnect, and then I had to implement some tools and resources.
Self-care.
Because I'm dying. Yeah, I'm not dying. I'm dying. I'm not well.
Right.
So I can't help you. You know, and I'd say this all the time. I'm no good to you if I'm no good to myself. And so I had to create those some of those steps and resources. Like I said, meditating for me. When I wake up in the morning, I literally have to meditate, get into a space of productiveness in my mind. You know, I call upon for me my higher God and to help me through the day, to order my steps and do and that's important to me. That is a part of my peace. So what are some of those resources or steps that you suggest you know, in your treatment or how you help your clients? What things do you implement?
So meditation is an excellent coping skill. Meditation, guided imagery, something so simple as like taking walks, going to the lake, learning how to put 30 minutes to an hour. I try to really encourage people to try to find 30 minutes to an hour between work and home. You know, because like a lot of times we go from work and then we go home and just start working and cooking and doing all those things at home. You're going from work right to work. So if you can find 30 minutes to just go exercise, 30 minutes to just go sit somewhere, even you walk around the mall, you don't have to spend money, but just to do something to transition.
I spend money if I go in the mall.
Right. I know a lot of people that's shop therapy, right? And sometimes you just have to kind of just do it for a moment. Go to the lake, walk around the lake. I'm a nature person. I like nature trails. I like the lake. I like stuff like that. So you know, you don't have to go on a vacation to have a mental vacation.
That's right.
Yeah, you know, you can read a book. You know, I'm big on guided imagery. I don't know if you've ever done guided imagery, but where they for 5 minutes you can actually, even at work or at home, you can turn on and they're all over YouTube. So if you like the beach, you like nature, and then they can just give you a sense of peace and calm, you know, in your car. Yeah, and you know, I also teach a lot of breathing techniques. You know, yeah. So is anything that you can do to remove your mental stress in that moment to help you find peace, recalibrate, and get yourself back on track. But going back to what you said, like during COVID, I was meditating every day, and I started journaling. One of the things that was COVID itself, but then the experience of watching George Floyd be killed on TV. So it's like it was a lot of murders, there was a lot of negative things, there was a lot of feelings from Black men, feelings about being afraid for your kids to go out. So I started journaling, and journaling has been one of the things that I've incorporated. Meditation, journaling, I try to use that to start my day most of the time.
Oh my goodness. Woo! Major, I know you had Major. What's your question, Major?
No, I just, man, this has been so informative, and I might be dealing with mental illness after listening to you. But my question is, so on the internet, man, you know, we're used to people like going against the idea of mental health and mental illness, right? I grew up the same way. You know, what happens in this house stays in this house, but there seems to be this new trend online, right? I don't know if you've seen this or not, but there is this trend online where it seems like younger people are dying for attention and faking illnesses, and it's kind of becoming this really big online epidemic, right? There's a surge on social media talking about people creating fictitious disorders, and this is coming directly from WebMD. And they're really referring to it as medical porn. Now, I hadn't heard that term, but I have seen like medical porn. That's a new one on me. But I have heard, I have seen like people on social media faking tics as if they had Tourette syndrome. I mean, all these different things, man. What is going on with that?
Well, I must just say this, man. Like, we're in an information age, and it's like information overload. You know, people they'll self-diagnose before they actually go get some help because they don't want it goes back to fear. They don't want anybody to talk to them and tell them what's really wrong, so they'll just go look. I can read on the internet. I can figure it out myself.
Right.
which is a possibility. You can get some knowledge, but is that truly what's really going on?
Exactly.
So I just think it's information overload, and people. You also have people that's like hypochondriacs, like they may feel like they got everything. So it's kind of hard to say on a individual basis. But I just think society has everything so wide open. Like to me, a lot of young people are just confused. They don't really know what to do. There are too many options. There's too much information. And at the same time, like, because I don't want to negate or act as if something may not be wrong, right?
Right.
But at 16, 17, you're trying to figure out yourself and trying to figure life out for yourself anyway. That don't mean it's a mental illness. You just going through adolescence and puberty and trying to figure out life. Like, you know, your girlfriend or boyfriend quit you, so like it does feel horrible, but that don't mean you go kill yourself because they quit you. Like, you can find someone else. So a lot of times they aren't emotionally aware. They aren't open to go talk to somebody for fear of being judged or whatever their reason may be, you know. And then the parent may not be the type parent that's okay, I'm gonna take you to the hospital, we're gonna get you some help. If that's what you're doing or that's what you feel, because it may be embarrassing to them.
Wow.
Right.
You know, so you there's a lot of different variations or variables, you know, within that question. Yeah, is
it attention though? Is any of it attention seeking?
A lot of it could be. I don't as being clinically trained, like I couldn't say that without me doing a proper assessment. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, I like that. I like what you did there.
That was a good response. That was a great response.
I'll tell you, that was right. Woo.
Yeah,
that's right.
Feeling like I need to know what you really feel. Why you feel the way
that's
you
feel?
That's
a professional.
Yeah, so once you come to me and I can ask you some questions, I continue through these trauma assessments, then like, okay.
Absolutely.
Oh, maybe you just need to talk to your mom and maybe you need to be honest and open up about what's really going on, what's really happening. Like,
right.
Yeah, so yeah.
Attention. Yeah.
Yeah, and trust me, I did tell you, I did start working with kids first. So my experience is very extensive. So, but I know if you learn, if you're faking, whether you're a kid or whether you're an adult, because at the same time, let's be honest. Yes. There's a whole bunch of adults that be faking illness just so they can get a check.
Right. Yeah. Be real clear now. That's true. Absolutely true. Absolutely fact.
That's been going on before the internet, before social media. They've been doing that before.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, tell our guests how they can connect with you, Ernest, when after the end of this, we have to have you back on. I think this is a conversation that we are going to definitely continue. So before we end this season, we're going to definitely have you back on for more engaging conversation about mental health, mental illness. But tell our guests how they can reach you should they desire to connect with you.
Yeah, you can go to my website, www.ilifecounseling, counseling.org. You can book an appointment right there, schedule an appointment. And I try to do a free 30-minute consultation before we get started, just to kind of get a good idea of what you're dealing with, and for you to decide whether you like me and you want to interact with me. That's one thing that's very important too. Your relationship and connection with a therapist is very personal, and it has to be the right fit.
It does.
Because if you don't like me, you're not going to talk to me.
Exactly.
And we're not going to grow, and you're not going to grow. So we want to make sure it's the right fit.
Yes. And what about your social media? Can they follow you on any of your social media platforms?
So ilifecounseling.org is my IG, and it's also my Facebook.
Okay.
Right. But there's not a lot of action on there. Let's be honest. There's not a lot of action there. So you really want to
understand that. If you want to find Ernest, go over to his website. That's where he is.
Right.
And he's keeping all that knowledge and that information to share with you on a personal one-on-one level. What an amazing show. This was a great topic and so needed. And again, like I said, Ernest, I'm going to have you back.
Yes.
So someone said, last question, do you recommend same race counselors?
I do, just for the simple fact of understanding, just like me, like I talk to a lot of black men, a lot of professional black men, because they have different, the journey's been different. And if you haven't had a father, if you were raised with a single mother, then, now you have kids and you're wondering if you're doing the right thing. It's worked for me, from a black man to a black man. But in terms of, that would be a choice. Everybody can make their own choice or their own decision, but I think so, because I think we understand black people the same way that black people understand me. Certain things that you may say, if you're going to someone that's not of a different race, they may not understand it, and they may try to put you in the hospital, hospitalize you, because they feel like you've been traumatized, you've been, abused. So those things have happened just in the communication. So
yes,
yeah, it just really depends. Yeah. So I won't be biased and say yes, but I feel that way. That's my personal opinion.
Right. And before you go, just do a quick speak to your, like you just said, your black men, because, I know that our black men, black men have to have a standard and stand strong and not show any type of weakness or softness. And so, but I think it's important that we have these conversations in order for them to leave the legacies that they desire to leave. Leave a nugget to and speak directly to your black man.
I say this: if you feel like you're not yourself, sometimes you have to put your pride aside and go seek the help that you need. But I do understand the fear of being vulnerable with people. So that's why I offered a 30-minute consult initially. So if you're interested and you feel like you need to talk to somebody, give me a call. We can have the consult and you can see if I'm a good fit for you. And then we can try to grow together. Like my motto is, if you're not afraid to talk, I'm not afraid to listen, and together we can find a solution.
Oh, I love that. If you're not afraid to talk, I'm not afraid to listen. Seek the help, be stronger, leave the legacies that we desire to do, and be stronger for our family, our friends, and our community. Thank you again so very much, Mr. Ernest Benson.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you. And again, we'll have you back. We look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you so much for your wisdom, your insight, and your experience.
I look forward to it.
Okay. Whoa, my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. What an episode.
Yo, my goodness. That was quite the episode. That's the episode that the black community needed. I'm going to just say that.
Wow.
I'm dead serious. That's not even a joke. Yo,
Men,
I
women,
told
boys, and girls. That's right.
Man, that was some real stuff. A lot of that stuff hit home, man. I didn't mean earlier when I said that I think I just realized my mental illness. That was probably worst timing. But a lot of stuff that you guys said and he said, it made me think a lot. So and I really hope people benefited from this. We do a lot of good stuff. We try to do a lot of good stuff with our community.
Yes.
We want you guys to benefit from this show, not just be entertained. And DiDi, you did your thing. You did your thing on this. For sure.
Listen, what a way to end Mental Health Awareness Month. Shouts out to Darlene in the building. Hopefully my mom was able to. She was definitely saying she was going to tune in and watch it on YouTube. So hopefully she was there. My Bessie, love you, love you. Levi, Deborah, Brandy, Brittany, Bria, all of the folks who were in the house tonight and tuned in. Keisha, thank you so much. Developmental Reflections, all of you, thank you all. Rachel, thank you all, and much love, and let's continue to seek those tools, resources, so that our mental health can be stronger and stronger every day. That's going to do it for the show. Major, tell everyone how they can check you out.
Well, I'd really rather you not follow me around, but if you do, I'm on Design by Major on all social media platforms. DiDi, if they are going to follow you and get some of your behind the scenes footage of Tulum or wherever the hell you're at right now, DiDi, how can they do that?
They can
Yeah, how
definitely
can
check me out. I'll share a little bit. I'll give you a little toenail. I give you a piece. Check me out at DiDi Skky on all social media
Yes.
platforms: Instagram, Facebook,
Yo.
X. You can catch us there. But most importantly, we want you to subscribe. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. So important, guys.
Yes.
Subscribe on our YouTube channel. And if you don't have a chance to actually see the video, you can hear it because we are on every streaming platform. We are on Apple Music, Odyssey, what else? iHeartRadio, Spotify, all of your favorite platforms for your listening pleasure. So be sure to check us out there. Woo.
Yo, for sure.
I feel
DiDi, how
so
do you normally end
much
these? Yeah, yo, I'm telling you, I'm about to go home and I'm gonna be healthy and wise and all of these good
right.
things, man. That's gonna be.
That's right.
I'm gonna sit in traffic today on my way, and I don't care how
And
much
woosah
traffic is out there.
and do some
I'm
breath,
gonna woo side on up. I'm dead
listen to
serious.
some good music.
Yes, ma'am.
That's right. That's right. Well,
Yeah.
shouts out to, again, everyone who tuned in. What a wonderful show. Thank you so much to Mr. Ernest Benson for joining us tonight. That's going to do it for the show. As I always say, go for your goals, reach for the stars because the sky has no limit. We'll see you again very soon.